Hello, welcome to the impzonepod podcast. We're back again to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans, and we're here to have a look at the final update for Emergence. First, we'll start off with the countdown or the pre-show, the buy-in, or whatever you want to call it, for this event. Now, we've got Indy Hartwell versus Rosemary announced for the countdown. And I kind of feel like they're still trying to build Indy, and that's fine, but I hope that this works out a bit better. So with saying that, I do feel like she could possibly win this, though I would start to think that you might want to look at finding a way for her to be in some sort of hardcore match with Rosemary. I don't know. And Rosemary's been here for a long time, and she continually kind of feels like the resident jobber in TNA a lot of the time. Though a lot of people kind of feel like that kind of in some way, in some form, in some fashion, because she is very established in some ways, so she's not very greedy in many ways, so she's very willing to help get other people sort of over, even though it sort of hasn't really, like, a lot of that hasn't come to a lot of fruition in some ways, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I will say, before we move on, that the Hometown Man versus Nick Nemeth is now on the countdown, where it should be. I think there's a lot of other matches that deserve the time on the main show. This certainly doesn't. But anyway, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think that this deserves much time because they literally threw it together in the last 24 hours. Though, again, there are a few other matches that they've sort of thrown together in the last 24 hours. But I guess the ramifications or whatever else will be a lot more, or could be a lot more. And, yeah, we'll have to wait and see with that. But still, Rosemary versus Indy, I think it'll be fine. But like, if it doesn't get the most time out of these two matches, then I feel like you're doing them a disservice. Because, like, Hometown Man versus Ryan Nemeth is like, what? What the heck? I think there's only two other matches that have been added. A lot of, like, more stakes and more story have been added to a lot of the other matches in some way, in some form, in some fashion. But I don't really think a lot has changed. First off, I guess, will be the System versus First Class, now with Rich Swann in the team. We saw that, Swann and Francis picked up a victory against the System recently on this episode, this recent episode. I kind of feel like I said this before, but I feel like you need to build, like, these guys into being, or somebody. And these are one of the very few, like, good heel tag teams that you're trying to build up. Though, again, the Great Hands are kind of there, though they haven't been built up quite a lot as of late. But still, these are guys that you could, if you give them enough time and you give them enough wins, could take the titles off the Hardys at some point, which would, I think, solidify them, and therefore solidify them for, a major run. I don't know, but that's where I kind of feel like it's like, what else can you do with them in that regard? I don't really know how it would all play out. So, but I do think that that's a good thing to kind of do in some ways. But yeah, I do see them winning because, again, Myers and Edwards are sort of established guys, and you need more new guys to kind of climb the ranks, even though that Swann has kind of been established in some ways. I don't think he's did he win the tag team titles ever? I don't even remember. I know I think he won the X Division title. I know he won the world title. So I can't really remember. Impact World Champion, X Division Champion, and Digital Media. So he hasn't won the tag team titles. So that would be a pretty big feather in his cap. That would make him a a Grand Slam champion, I believe, because he's already a Triple Crown. Oh no, he's won the Triple Crown. He won the digital media and the world title, so that's Triple Crown. So then he'd be Grand Slam, or almost Grand Slam. He could be Grand Slam if he wins the international title, I guess. But whatever, that doesn't really matter as much at this point. It would help solidify him towards that point. And I think like Francis, he has won the digital media title, but he hasn't really done anything else of note. And I feel like it's time to start looking at them being in that conversation, to start saying, let's make a new big time team, because you've got a lot of great babyface teams as well for everyone to kind of go up against and, challenge them. So I think that would work out well. Next up, this is the last one, as I sort of said, Mustafa Ali versus Matt Cardona. I feel like this is something for Mustafa Ali, and I'm a little bit confused about like what's happening with Joe Hendry or whatnot in this situation, since Mustafa Ali beat him, but I feel like it's probably leading to a bigger match. Maybe at Victory Road, I don't know. Maybe at Bound for Glory, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't put my money too much on that. Maybe a triple threat, or maybe Fatal 4-Way or something like that. I don't know. Does depend. But yeah, that would be my idea of like, let's build up Ali, give him a win here, like never, not 100% not pay it off, but like, pay it off later when it's like, something else or whatever. Maybe, I don't know, you could do it at Bound for Glory and then sort of have somebody, or you could have, like I said, this was somebody else, can't remember who it was now, but you could have him win the Call Your Shot gauntlet, then go on to cash in the Call Your Shot gauntlet after Santana's won it, sort of like avenging his loss kind of thing with Santana, and like continuing on that story. Like, I don't know, there's something there, I think, certainly. So, we'll have to wait and see where that does go, but you've got to build him up to being on that level. You can't have him just be like, yeah, he's a loser or an upper card, good hand or whatever else it is. You've got to feel like he's going to win, or he could win, or whatever else. And you need more main event level guys. So I think like him beating Cardona, even though he's, again, outsider, he's effectively just a hired jobber to come in. He's got a big name behind him, So, Ali getting a big win here will help solidify him in that sort of somewhat upper echelon. So I think that that's kind of like where they're at. I don't really think there's much for Matt Cardona to do in TNA. He's here to like put people over for the most part, that and kind of try to get the eyes of WWE, as far as what I know, what he's trying to do. So, but yeah. The rest of the show, I don't think I've got much to say, so we will finish up here for today with this one. And yes, on next couple of days, we will have the Emergence review after the show has gone to air. And then we'll be looking at Victory Road after that, and we'll be able to make more informed discussions about what they're going to do with Ali versus Hendry, or Ali versus whoever, or Jake something versus whoever, or whatever else it is. But yeah, that's where we're at for now. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will join me again in another one.